So hey everyone, Sudipta is side. I graduated in 2016 from IIT Kharagpur with BTech in electronics engineering. Post that, I've been with Goldman Sachs, ClearTax, and but I always wanted to start up. So therefore, when the calling finally came, I started my own startup back in 2018. Currently, I'm part of the startup called um, Floworks, where we are building productivity software for sales team, field sales team, who are there on the field, and therefore making it easier for them to access and edit CRM data while they are still on the field, right? So that's exactly what we do at Floworks. I think I came to know about Cuvette um, through another KGP alum, I guess, or probably, I guess, through a press release where you guys were got funded from, I think, Titan, right? So that seemed interesting. One of the challenge we generally do have is like hiring is definitely a challenge, right? And getting the quality of interns are not really consistent across platform. So the way you are maintaining, you are, at least you are pitching key, you will basically create that consistency and quality of the interns. That really struck me. I think overall experience is very smooth, to be honest. Um, like in terms of the process, it's really smooth. Like setting up calls, setting up calendars, setting a meeting with participants is really easy, right? And another thing which is really convenient is like the description that Kuwait provides, right? That's really helpful. The filtering option that you have in order to search candidate, that is also helpful. Um, and I think another feature which I also found helpful is the recommendation feature, where you guys give a list of candidates who you think would be very most relevant for that particular job post, right? So that seemed interesting and very helpful. So overall, it's really smooth. One thing is uh, the quality and the assurance of the interns, right? Which I found to be missing in other platform. Like I remember long back I tried using Internshala, but it seemed more like an open marketplace where there is no assurance of quality or assurance of skill from that particular candidate, right? In Kuwait, we get a feeling ki at least the candidates that are there, right? They have been vetted, they know their skill sets, right? That's the main difference, I think, right? The fact that it's managed, right? That gives us assurance. The filtering feature, as I told you, right? Filtering basis the skill set that I found really interesting. Um, and one thing what I liked is that like I can access your portal from mobile as well, although not very optimized, but it's workable, right?
Mm.
So many times we are on the field, uh, don't have access to desktop. I can use the web console or dashboard in mobile. That's really helpful. And the other things which I mentioned, right? The candidate descriptions in Cuvette, those things are really helpful. So I generally do an overview call with the candidate. Then in that overview call, I give an open-ended problem and understand basically from an aptitude perspective, like how good the candidate is in problem solving, right? So that I do. Then for certain role, I give a take-home assignment, and for certain role, I take a live 30-minute coding come debugging session, right? And then finally is a behavioral round where generally we talk about candidate hobbies, what they would do, want to do in life, and those kind of stuff, so that we at least get a sense that he's looking forward to work in a startup a long time, right? Maybe in future we can, if we give a let's say PPO to that candidate, he would be willing to accept that PPO, right? So for me, the stage we were at, right, we really couldn't afford hiring full time, to be honest. Because we raised, first of all, I think pre-seed amount is generally small for almost all the startups, right? At that money is really difficult to hire full time to build your MVPs or build your beta version of the product, right? So I hired interns specifically for that to furnish the first version of the product. So for me, it's purely affordability. That's for sure. But also another thing, going forward, like now that we are almost closing our round, I'm going to keep on hiring some interns as well, right? Especially the final year uh final year guys, right? Who let's say have their placement and everything sorted. The reason I want to do so, if let's say they work with us for 2 months or 3 months and we both sort of like each other, right? They like the company, we like the candidate, then we can extend PPO to them, right? Like we can basically extend a full-time job to them. Now that I think is a very effective way of hiring in general. Otherwise, if I hire someone from the open market, at least in the initial stage, it's very difficult to um, what is it? It's difficult to gauge whether that person is good fit in our company. And it's really difficult. What I found is to gauge someone's even expertise from 2, 3 round of interview, right? So hiring intern and then later converting them to full time is a very risk-free approach, I think, right? And it's also inexpensive as well. Almost all the interns in my company were very sound coders and sound problem solvers, right? I would say they did it. They have written the code in the most optimized way or something, but they are at least able to dish out the first version of the product, right? Which we could go to the market and test it out, right? So uh, that's a huge ROI in my mind, right? It might take them, let's say, one week or 1.5 week to sort of get to know the stuffs, right? But even if you hire a full timer, I have seen, right, they will also take around 1 week to get in the system and know everything, right? Um, so I don't see any challenge in the onboarding time, to be honest, right? But the ROI is really, really huge. I already did recommend to any of my friends and any of my startup sort of colleagues and friends, basically, right? Few other companies are also, in fact, currently hiring from Cuvette. Definitely, I strongly recommend. Yeah.